against England in that second semi-final this weekend. Nandi, I can tell you, in the build-up to this match, there was a lot of speculation on who Jacques Nienaber, Rassie Erasmus and the management will select to face off against this England side. Rassie Erasmus was, I would use the word a bit very naughty, playing mind games when he mentioned there's a temptation to make a number of changes come this week. But in less than half an hour, we should know. He said there's a temptation to bring in Keenan Moody into the side at possibly centre. There's a temptation to bring Handré Pollard and Faf de Klerk in as the new fly-off pairing. There's a temptation to stick with Jesse Kriel, a player who played his heart out in that match against France. It was a bruising encounter, and if it wasn't for Bongi Mbonambi, who played a man of the match performance, I think Jesse Kriel stood out as one of the strongest player in that bruising encounter against France. We'll soon know who that 23 players will be, but the expectation is that Jacques Nienaber and Rassie Erasmus might make a few changes ahead of for the clash on Saturday against England. Nandi?
It's not Rassie unless there are some mind games involved. Percy, there's been a lot of debate and discussion from the very beginning of the World Cup surrounding Manie Libbok and Handré Pollard. Some saying that this one deserves a chance, this one deserves a chance. And we saw the last match against France, Libbok ended up being substituted for Handré Pollard. Has there been any more talk surrounding those two players going into this match against England?
Nandi, many questions in the build-up to this match exactly about that very point, about who's going to wear the number 10 jersey heading into this match. The one thing Rassie Erasmus did say is that because they played on Sunday, it's a short turnaround until the next match on Saturday. So there might be a temptation, like Rassie Erasmus say, to possibly start with Handré Pollard and possibly start with Faf de Klerk. Like we all know, Manie Libbok and Kobus Reinach start in that clash against France. And they played a massive match in that clash, that 1-point victory over France. Maybe there's a temptation by Jacques Nienaber and Rassie Erasmus to possibly start with Handré Pollard. You might recall, Nandi, Handré Pollard started in 2019 when they beat the England side 32-12 in that historic victory in Japan in that final. And Rassie also mentioned the fact that England side, as much as we as the media, as much as the supporters think that the Springboks are the outright favourites heading into the match, Rassie would have none of that. He said they are at no means going to underestimate this England side. In fact, they are saying England are in this match and they will be seeking revenge heading into this match. So they don't underestimating this England side. They're going out and putting up their best performance if they want to get advanced and make it into the final.
Just the last question from me, Percy, and actually you touched on it just now. You know, speaking about that final match between England and South Africa in Japan, where we ended up lifting the Webber Ellis Trophy, it is going to be a grudge match, isn't it? Especially where England is concerned. So what we've seen so far from England, what can we expect?
Well, another thing, I think the one significant thing this past week is that Rassie Erasmus decided, the director of SA Rugby, decided to host 2 press conferences with us this past week. And in the second press conference, he made a point of it to remind all of us as the media that England is the only side in the last 4 that are still unbeaten in the semi-final. And that is part of the reason why he says they can't afford to underestimate this England side. The other question, the other point that he made, and I think most of our British colleagues, they pounced onto this point when Rassie said there will be beef from this England side. They've got a bone to pick with this Springbok side because they want to reclaim what they lost in 2019. South Africa also beat them last year in the end-of-year tour. So Steve Borthwick, against this England side and possibly put up a good performance. They're also selecting their side today at 11:30 today, and then we'll also know what they will put on the table to face off against the Springbok side on Saturday.